you began singing at a particularly young age, and I read somewhere that Bill Cosby was influential in getting you on radio. Is that right?
Well, no, we come from the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
And me and Bill Cosby grew up together, in school together. But Charlie Parker discovered me.
Ah.
Charlie Parker. I sang with Charlie Parker at 16. Then I left and sang with John Coltrane. Because, see, I'm a jazz singer, And I was singing jazz. And then me and Bill Cosby used to work in this club for like $8 a night. So we only about 4 or 5 blocks apart.
Uh-huh.
And nothing. So we grew up together,
When you were growing up and really getting into music, who were some of the singers that really caught your attention and made you want to be a singer?
Oh, well, like Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, Clyde McPhatter. It was so many. It was so many of them.
Tell us about those early days on the Philadelphia club scene. Was it a real happening music scene there in those days?
Oh, yeah. On the club scene, like it was, mostly like, I was mostly, hanging around with the musicians. Some of the singers, like the singers, Hal Melvin and the Blue Notes, I used to work with them, Hal Melvin. I used to be one of the Blue Notes, I was one of the, Bernie Sigler, he was a singer singing around town. And a lot of local singers that, Solomon Burke was a local singer here.
Yep.
I was a local singer here. Like Teddy Pendergrass was a local singer here.
Yeah.
And about three or four of us made it, yeah. But when I came up, like most of the singers, like Jackie Wilson and all them guys were made. A lot of the singers was in groups,
Yeah. Just as your career was beginning to take off, you found yourself drafted into the Army. Did you, during that time, remain determined to reignite your career when your time in the Army expired?
Well, when I got drafted into the Army, I was stationed with Elvis Presley and Bing Crosby's son. We was all in the same unit overseas in Germany.
Uh-huh.
And me and Bing Crosby's son, Gary Crosby, we formed a group together, a group where we could entertain. Elvis Presley did not want to come in the group. He wanted to be a Jeep driver. So I sang in the service for most of my time.
Yeah.
Traveling doing Army bases. And I was singing like jazz then. And when I came out of the service, I still was singing jazz, and I was doing like the local clubs and so forth around Philadelphia. And that's when Kenny Gamble came and heard me in a club, and like in the 60s, and asked me did I want to come with his record company. And I went with his record company and went on from there.
You mentioned you had a short stint in Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, and you're also in the Flamencos. Yeah. Were you harbouring desires to be a solo artist at that stage?
Yeah, well, I didn't want to dance. I couldn't dance. I didn't like to do the steps, all the turns and everything. Teddy Pendergrass was the drummer, and I was the lead singer. So Hal Melvin fired me. So I'm sort of glad that he fired me, because now I can sing on my own,
Yeah. What were your first impressions of Kenny Gamble and Mr. Huff as well when you first met them? Did they give you impressions that they would be able to set your career forward the way they did?
Well, they were doing. Kenny was doing a little sing around town, and Leon Huff was in a group called the Dynaflows, and he was the piano player for a group, and Tommy Bell was in their group, and then they decided to form a record company. And I thought it was a good idea. And then, I'm glad I made the move, because it got explosive, So I went along with the move. I had already made I had an album that I already made and produced myself, me and my wife, and it was called Feeling Good at the Cadillac. And that was the first album that Philly International had. And that was the start of it.
Yeah. Now, you recently won a court case against them. Are you able to tell us a little bit about what happened there?
Where?
You had a You had some court proceedings against Gamble and Huff recently. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I don't talk about it too much because, you know, me and Kenny was together last week. It was business.
Yeah.
And we're still friends. And, you know, and we still do things together, you know?
Yeah.
But it was a business move. And it was a business move. Actually, it was a business move that benefited us both. Because we both were getting ripped off.
Uh-huh.
You know? By the record company. So he found out some things also that he didn't get his money.
Okay, so it worked out in benefit for him as well.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And it came out positive.
That's fantastic that after going through all that, you still came out friends and can still work together today. That's terrific.
Still friends, right? Matter of fact, we were together 5 days ago at the record company, yeah.
Tremendous. Now, it would be impossible, I guess, in any interview to talk to you and not mention me and Mrs. Jones.
No, well, you know, like, I tell you, it was the last filler on the album. And I took it to St. Thomas. And when I first heard it, I didn't too particularly care for it because we needed one more song for the 360 Degrees album. And I took it down to St. Thomas, and I should go out to the beach every morning and listen to the song, see what I could do with it. And then I heard the part where me and Mrs. Jones, we got a thing going on. And that's what I heard. Me and Mrs. And that was the hook. And I put the hook in it. And that was like the signature to the song.
Ah. Just needed that hook just to make all that difference.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you recall the recording session?
Say that again?
Can you remember the recording session for the song?
Oh, yeah. I can remember the recording session, you know. The recording session was like, it was really like, it became fun at the recording session. And I would take it home, I would listen to it, then I would go back the next day, and I'll play around with it. And I remember going in one day, and after I laid the track down to me, and this is Mrs. Jones. And I remember Kenny Gamble saying, that's enough, we got it. And then from there, I would just listen to the track, and then when they mastered it, and I heard the master, I said, yeah, this is going to be a hit. And I felt as though it was going to be a hit.
Yeah. So there was never any doubt. You were that sure.
Yeah, I was sure because every time I started singing it out in public when I was working, and every time I sang, I would get a standing ovation.
Have you ever had that feeling with any other song you've recorded that you were sure it would be a hit but it never turned out to be?
No, I have not.
Ah.
No, I have not.
What you ended up with was not only a major hit in your homeland, but a worldwide hit. Were you prepared for that sort of success and notoriety?
Well, you know what? I can't say no. I wasn't prepared for that kind of success. I had to work up to it. You know, it frightened me. You know, I mean, you know, one day you lay down, you wake up the next day, you're known all over the world. You got a #1 record all over the world.
Yeah.
So you had to make some hell of adjustments, and it's frightened me. You know, now, you know, through all the years, you know, like confidence, everything is there. I like what I'm doing. I like singing for people, and I'm happy doing what I'm doing.
Do you still vividly remember the night you got your Grammy?
Yes, I do. I was at Wilberforce University in Ohio, Wilberforce in Ohio, and I remember sitting down in the chair, and Ringo Starr and David Clayton Thomas. My wife was in the balcony, and David Clayton Thomas. They were on. When they called my name, Mac Davis and David Clayton Thomas jumped up because my wife was all the way up in the balcony, and we only had 3 minutes to get down there and get it. And when Ringo Starr called my name, I was just getting ready to sit down, and I was doing this college homecoming, and I saw it on television, and I mean, I felt great.
Mm. Do awards like that mean more to you now, looking back over your career, than they did to you back then when you received it?
Yeah, well, you know why? Because I'm going to tell you something. Now it seems like it's easier to get a Grammy. When I got a Grammy, it was harder.
Yeah.
I mean, I was up against Ray Charles, Curtis Mayfield, and Isaac Hayes.
That's an impressive list.
Yes, and it was hard getting a Grammy back then.
Yeah. Now, you followed it up with the song Am I Black Enough For You, a controversial move rather than a safe commercial move. What was the thought process in choosing that song to follow up?
Well, it was my idea, and I had a big, I had a big gripe with the record company about that. But now, I'm starting to really understand it, because now it fits the time. And you got to realize that now I found I got a big white audience with Am I Black Enough? They did a documentary. They did a documentary of my life, and they made Am I Black Enough? And now it has become real popular. And the white audience has made it popular, you know. So I would only say it was ahead of its time. But I didn't like it when it came out after Mrs. Jones.
Do you think now it's a song people are more ready to hear than they were back then?
Oh, definitely so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how much did it set your career back? Or the history books say that it did set your career back. Do you think it did?
Oh, yeah, it set me back. It set me back because I went into depression and I didn't like it, and I had to work myself through it, and I had to work my way back. So, yeah, I would say that.
If you had your time over again, would you have released it as a single at the time that you did?
No.
No?
No, I wouldn't. No, I would not.
Is it annoying for you at times when people who don't know better label you as a one-hit wonder?
That don't bother me because I've done so much. If you look on the internet, I've done so much great work. I guess you can say that song was so monstrous. That's the one they remember me by.
Yeah.
You know? And I sell a lot of records, but I work. I'm all over the world, So how can a one-hit wonder just go work all over the world?
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Now, you mentioned the documentary, which I would love to see. We haven't seen it down here yet in Australia. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I'm anxious to come to Australia. If anybody want to bring me to Australia, and you know anybody want to bring me to Australia, you get in touch with me. I'm willing to come to Australia.
Fantastic. Well,
I've been dying to come to Australia.
We'd love to see you, yeah.
Yes?
Tell us about the documentary.
Oh, the documentary is doing good. I just came back from England on tour. I've been back for 3 weeks. Me and people, Bryson Stylistics and the Temptations and everybody. And they're selling it over there. It's in about 17 theaters in England. And the review's been great, and it's doing great.
That's brilliant. So it was pretty much a fly-on-the-wall type documentary. They just followed you around and...
Yes, it followed me around for 3 years. And the good thing about it, it's honesty. I felt very relaxed because I got to know the film crew and everything. I felt very relaxed. And I got to say to myself, it's honesty. I'm real honest in it, I released a lot of things that I've been wanting to talk about. And that's the great thing about it.
Yeah. So it was almost, for yourself, it might have been a therapeutic exercise.
Yeah, it definitely was a therapeutic exercise. Right.
So what about your working live these days? What's the extent of your live work?
What's the extent?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I know I'm getting ready to go down here December the 11th to the Sheraton Hotel in Atlantic City, and they're giving me the World Ambassador Award.
Wow.
I just came from meeting with the Rhythm and Blues Foundation last week. They gave me an award, and I've done so much work. I just keep receiving awards. I got the from Congress, American Congress. I got the Lifetime Achievement Award from Congress. So I just keep going. I keep doing what I'm doing.
That's tremendous. It's a fantastic body of work you've released over the years. Is there any style of record that you'd never done yet that you'd still like to do?
Oh, I'm working on this new album, and I want to do another song that really. I got one called "Do You," and that really means something to the world.
Thanks for all your time, Billy, and we do hope we can get you down here to Australia really, really soon.
Yeah, well, like I tell the people in Australia, I'm thinking about them and keep me in their prayers, and I'd like to come to Australia soon.
Tremendous. Okay, all the best.
God bless.
Okay, bye-bye.